Prod it. Someone has to start draft pool. Prod it. Someone has to start draft pool.
Oh, are we? Hello, everyone. Welcome to the second week, the first day of the second week in the BTL. Today we have Knights of Smash versus Knights of Ishtar, the battle of the Knights. I am obviously joined here by Bren. How you doing, Bren?
I'm doing all right. I'm ready to get into it. This has kind of been the hyped matchup of the week. Both teams kind of snipping at each other. Knights of Ishtar, a returning team. Knights of Shamash, kind of a sister team to them in a sense. And Knights of Ishtar ready to prove why they're the favorites this season, why they were number one in the power rankings last week. And Knights of Shamash really fighting to get out of their big brother shadow, quote unquote. So. Very, very excited.
Yeah,
Looks like
definitely.
we have draft already started. So, what do you think? Kind of the game plan is after seeing these first bans come out from both sides.
Well, last week I was able to cast Knights of Shamash, and they handled Mighty Throws pretty well. I haven't seen too much of Knights of Ishtar, but I heard they're pretty good. They did take down Cat Cowboys in a 2-1 victory. We can see the bans here: Karthus, Varus, Karma, pretty strong on the patch. Karthus maybe more just a selective pick, trying to knock out somebody from Knights of Ishtar, as well as the Maokai Ari brand. First picking it with Smolder, pretty good, I'd say. Smolder is pretty good on the patch. Actually, no, this is the patch where they gutted Smolder, right? Or is that next patch?
I believe that should be this upcoming patch, if I'm correct. I don't think Smolder has had his fill yet. I think he's ready to feast a little bit more. And noting that Karthus ban, Knights of Ishtar did play Karthus in their Game 3 last week. And it noted in an interview, Karthus is a triple flex. They are willing to take him APC, mid lane, or jungle. So probably a smart ban by the Knights of Shamash to not let them have such a power pick early on in the draft.
Damn, for triple flex. That is indeed very good. Looking at the other picks on the map, we have Ashe Nautilus, pretty solid bot lane, facing up into the Smolder Rakan bot lane as well. That's going to be pretty interesting, the dynamics. You don't really want to pick Rakan into another engaged support, because as Rakan, you want to be the one to engage, not the one being engaged upon. But I think you'll still take that pretty volatile matchup. The J4 for Knights of Shamash going to be taken into the jungle, you would assume. Never really seen anyone play J4 into Mordekaiser as this Mordekaiser. Did you see anything from Knights of Ishtar last week?
So Mordekaiser, nothing really to speak on that side of it. I know Tygoon is kind of a bit of a brawler. Like, I know he picked up the Aatrox. He does really want to fight, and so this is someone, Mordekaiser is going to send you to Brazil and force you into the 1v1. They're not convinced, though. It seems Knights of Shamash are not convinced that is a top lane Mordekaiser, because we see the Aatrox still banned. And the Aatrox being banned means there's a chance they believe it's jungle Mordekaiser.
Jungle Mordekaiser. Very interesting. But we're going to get confirmation that it's likely not Jungle Mordekaiser, because Knights of Ishtar are going to pick up the Viego to flex into that slot, although I would enjoy a little bit of lane Viego. I remember when he first came out and everybody picked him in mid. It was actually kind of fun. Speaking of mid lane, though, we have Vigar for Knights of Shamash. That's two champions with infinite scaling here on the side of Knights of Shamash, and pick that up with a decent frontline of Kisante. This composition's looking pretty good.
Yeah, I do like what they're looking to do here. I think Knights of Ishtar have had generally good responses across the board as well. You mentioned Rakan doesn't really want to play into the Nautilus. That can be such a devastating matchup for him, especially having a point-and-click CC. Generally, the safety of Rakan is that you can go in and get out. And it looks like these teams kind of have opposing ideologies. Ashe, Nautilus, Ziggs, the Viego. This speaks to me that they are wanting and willing to fight very early. Ziggs, if you try to roam against him, he's going to take your lane. If you don't roam to match him, he can ult from very far away to provide support to other lanes. Whereas Knights of Shamash really leaning into this late game.
Yeah. I don't really know what to say. I think Knights of Shamash has a sort of better composition in with comms, because they've got the great engage, great front line, and the back line gonna be pretty good with dealing a lot of damage. But the volatility comes with this Nautilus pick, with this Viego pick. If they get some resets, if they find some engages in the early game, if they get a lead, this Ashe might be a little bit too much for the rest of the Shamash lineup to handle. Of course, you're always going to have that Mordekaiser as well. The longer the game goes, I feel like Kisante is going to have a little bit more of a difficult time up there in that top lane. So overall, I think it's a pretty even matchup. I think I'm favoring Knights of Shamash a little bit more due to the nature of the composition, the front to back. But we saw what Knights of Shamash can do last week, and we'll just have to see. I guess it's all up to execution.
Yeah, and this has been there's been a lot of chipping back and forth between these two teams. They're familiar with each other, very very familiar with each other, and so that's going to lead to some very intense games. And I'm super excited. I love seeing the league shape itself, the personality that we have with our players, and this match is going to exemplify. I'm so excited.
Yeah, last week before we had the cast, we had Vimstat come onto the booth. I think we were talking. He was talking to Etoe about the rankings as he saw it, and he said that he was a little bit disappointed that he was placed. I think it was sixth in Etoe's power rankings, and he said he's really looking forward to outshine the power rankings, and prove that he's not supposed to be in that number 6 spot. And I think they showed it pretty well last week against Mighty Throws. I'm wondering how they're gonna show up against their fellow knights, however.
And as we wait to get into the game, we talked about the Ashe. I think you brought up. I actually really like the Ashe here. I think Ashe Nautilus is a lane that can kind of win early and just continue going from there. Ashe not necessarily the highest damage ADC, but the control of the lane paired with Smolder's low range, that's gonna make it very hard for him to get in, get out, and get stacks. So yeah, again, this draft feels very even. I do like with comms, Knights of Shamash to pull ahead. Knights of Ishtar though. I don't know. I think on paper, nameplates off, KOS has a better draft, but nameplates on, knowing the way these players like to play, the way I saw them, get a little unorthodox last week, I kind of favor the Knights of Ishtar draft.
Yeah, I think it's more. It is very true what you said about the nameplates, because while the composition, with a decent front to back and amazing scaling is pretty good, I think Knights of Ishtar may just have I hesitate to say it, but just better execution overall, because they showed that last week. And while Knights of Shamash was able to put up a good performance against Mighty Throws, it is against Mighty Throws, unlike Knights of Ishtar, which had to fight against Cat Cowboys, which was number 4 in the power rankings, and they put up a pretty good fight against them as well. It's just really interesting and really fun. You can't not be excited to see a matchup like this.
Oh yeah. Well, man, I'm just looking over this, and I'm looking back at notes, and I'm seeing what I wrote about Knights of Ishtar. Something I want to note about Frostbite, right? Frostbite was actually the one that picked Karthus last week for Knights of Ishtar in the ADC slot. He went APC slot, proved that he had a pocket Karthus, made it work. And so I think that means Knights of Ishtar not dependent on him to be like the sole damage carry, which pairs really well with that Ashe as a control factor, being able to pin down the lane, add on that CC. If we're looking at both teams, what is the big? What is the big win condition? There we go. That's the term I'm looking for. What's the big win condition for both sides?
Well, if you're looking towards Knights of Shamash here, you're really looking towards that later stages of the game, of course, because you've got the Vigar, you've got the Smolder, pretty good scaling, of course, and they have decent engagement with the Jarvan and the Rakan as well. But for Knights of Ishtar, as you said earlier, you're really looking towards early game. You're really looking towards the skirmishes, what you can get to increase your tempo and get as much of a lead in the early game as much as you can, because you do not want to get this Vigar and Smolder rolling. You do not want them to reach that 30-minute mark with hundreds of stacks. So I think you're really looking towards shutting down this composition as early as possible.
Very well said. We'll have to see how it all plays out. We're going to go to a short break, and we'll be right back as soon as we're in the game. All right, welcome back, everybody. We're here. The game is live. We're getting in. We got a death ball coming out topside for KOI, and KOS decided to go across, spread out all 5 of their members. Do you think they're going for a level 1 play?
Well, it's very evident that they're going to be looking for something. This is exactly what we wanted them to do, and it looks like they might find a little bit of something over onto Ford. Going to be landing that Q, but Ford, interestingly enough, started the Pathmaker on the Cassante there, which helped him out a lot. That was a pretty good play there. Overall, not much else. Vimstad started the game with no items though, so he's recalling now.
Alright, yeah, just a little bit of poking back and forth. Ultimately, nothing comes of it. Vimstad did actually start the game with no items. It's alright, though. It doesn't look like it's going to really delay him on his clear. Notably, though, Knights of Ishtar did get that deep ward, but Vimstat's just... He has the Oracle in since he had to back for items, and he's just going to clear it right out. and ultimately a big nothing burger at the level 1. That's all right.
Yeah, I'm actually kind of. I just want to say something. P Street is playing the supportive role this time, unlike last week, where P Street actually performed a pretty. He had a pretty good mid lane performance. So I'm interested why they decided to put him up here. Looking at the runes, nothing too out of the ordinary. Everything looks pretty normal. So everything's looking fine. As in the bot lane, we have a little bit of a dredge line over onto P Street as we were talking about it. Some trading. Pretty good from Nautilus there.
Yeah, not a good trade, honestly. P Street down to half health, you know, and only 2 farm onto the Smolder, so a level 2 taken, and that catches Smolder. Oh man.
Yeah, patches out Smolder. Doesn't really leave much of anything because Frostbite was not in range to auto attack, but you'll still take these small trades as much as you can. You know, try to leverage this good early game from the Nautilus, and he's getting some pretty good trades. Lots of health taken now from the Knights of Shamash bot lane. Look at the junglers, you can see. Oh yeah.
Yeah, speaking of trades, we had just a little bit of back and forth on the top side again. Just a bit of health, bit of posturing, positioning. Ultimately, no one quite caught out yet, but Tygoon does get that shove into forward, knocking those minions under tower.
Yeah, this is a pretty good position for the Mordekaiser. As, with hindsight, we have Vimstat in the bot lane. Both junglers actually clearing up their top sides fully, and now they're rotating towards the bot lane. We might see a quick 3v3 as the Scuttle Crab spawns soon enough. This is going to be very interesting. As you can see, Ventro is out of mana, so he might have to use the teleport here to get back to lane, but neither mid laners are opting to recall right now. This could be a 3v3 as
Vimstat. Oh, the stun misses!
Vimstat gonna be looking for something but has to flash away immediately. Viperto gonna be chasing forward, dodges out the grand entrance thanks to the Spectral Maw, and that's just gonna be an easy first blood here for Knights of Ishtar.
Yeah, Viperto not able to catch him on the initial stun, but really good follow-up from Death by Video Game there, and unfortunately for Vimstat, he burnt the flash as well as giving over the first blood, and you know what, if you're Knights of Ishtar, not only will you take that, getting that early kill onto the Viego, that is someone that can snowball and run over, and he's going to be in every lane, so I wonder, it does look like he's going for that early game Kraken Slayer, which is going to make him a real menace.
And I really like that decision from him. I am a Kraken Ninja on the Viego. But after that first blood, Viperto, I think he decided not to take the Scuttle Crab, instead recalled immediately, and so he wasn't able to actually get that Scuttle Crab in the bot lane now. Vimstat's just going to get the top one for free without contest. Pretty interesting, but you'll still take that first blood.
Yeah, definitely a bit of a silver lining, maybe a bit of a mistake, or Viperto just wasn't comfortable taking it with his mid lane with no mana. Not really sure at that juncture. I think the Scuttle was kind of free. He probably should have gone up and take it, but it looks like he just wanted to get back, get items, and keep pressure up on the clear, try and clear down to bot lane again and try and make something happen.
Yeah, you never know, as the first wave of objectives are going to be spawning here. Void Grubs and the Hextech Drake.
Yeah, and Hextech Drake, you know, as a single Drake, it's pretty impactful stats, even if you're not able to stack multiple of them. Cooldown and attack speed is something both these teams definitely want, but they're posturing around the Void Grubs now. One Grub does go down. Oh, Ventro, does he get out of this? No, the exhaust comes out. Surely not. Yeah, there he goes. P Street taking a lot of damage. Vimstat. Death by Video Game on the flank. Vimstat gets out. But now Ash is kind of caught out on the side there. And Veigar will go down. I'm not sure if we lost Zia. Some trading going down on the bot side. Yeah, that's what seemed like it. Uh, I can try and I'll just go solo for a little bit. You said we're unsynced? Okay. 7 minutes exactly. Okay. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, play.
Hello, I'm back. Can you hear me?
704, and Z is back. Let's go.
Hi, what's
right
up?
in time. We've got to fight a dragon.
Well, it doesn't look like they're going to be
happens.
looking for much. It's Knights of Ishtar. I was actually casting that entire fight up in the top lane. I didn't realize that I was muted. That's my bad completely. But right, you said the Hextech trick is going to go over onto Knights of Shamash. Pretty good. You'll take that for sure with the early lead that Etoe has.
Yeah, there were Knights of Ishtar able to get 2 of the grubs topside. Knights of Shamash come away with 1 of them. So the little void mites are still viable. We got a fight coming out on the top side.
Yeah, all out onto Tygoon. Forward looking pretty spicy. Not really deciding to continue on. The trading is still happening though.
It uses the unstoppable to escape out of the pullback there, and again, just a bit of a health trade. Ultimately, nothing comes of it. Other than that one fight up on the top side, these teams have been fairly reluctant to go after each other, kind of just poking and prodding. No one really wants to give the advantage to the other side off of a big mistake.
I think as Knights of Shamash really gotta respect that as the Enchanted Crystal Arrow gonna be landing over onto P Street, and with the flash, let's see if he's able to escape. The Ignite is sticking down, and the Nautilus gonna grab that kill easily there as Tygoon moves into the topside jungle, even though Viego is bot lane. That's some strong confidence there, Mordekaiser.
Yeah, I think he's assuming that that either Vimstat isn't gonna fight him or is on the bot side, but he doesn't. He has vision. He knows where Vimstat is, and he is still choosing to be here. And Veigar's rotating over.
Yeah, a bit of a mistake here from Tygoon, staying a little bit too long the event horizon, not stunning up the Mordekaiser because he's in Brazil as Ford. Very, very low. Latifi able to dodge the obliterate here. He manages to keep himself alive as Tygoon goes down to the hands of the Veigar, and you'll take that any day.
Yeah, a lot of the talk leading up to this game was between Tygoon and Ford about who was going to win in that isolated top matchup. Well, Tygoon, it's not going to be you if you're hanging out in their jungle, man. You knew where your jungler was. You knew where their jungler was. Kind of a just a boneheaded mistake there. And maybe a bit of overconfidence. He is up farm, so it's not the end of the world. He can come back and try and look for some golden lane. Frostbite is solo down here as Death by Video Game has roamed to the mid lane. It seems to be kind of sticking there. The next big objective up is gonna be Void Grubs.
Yeah, like you said earlier, there was a huge wave that Tygoon was able to grab in the top lane, even without the teleport. So I think, you'll take any bright side that you can. But as you said, the Void Grubs are going to be taken. I think Knights of Shamash was able to grab the first 3 in the previous brawl.
So, they're able to grab 2 of the 3. Knights of Shamash actually walked away with 1 of them.
Well, you'll take that as Knights of Ishtar. That means that we won't see any Gubbins, however, as Tygoon may be caught out, uses the all-out, is Ford, but Tygoon doesn't have the aggro of the tower, just walks away measly without fear as Ford moves
needs
forward.
to be careful. Tygoon's friends are here.
Yeah, there's 4 people here for the Void Grubs, and the Cassante is just gonna get taken down immediately as P Street uses the quickness, gonna get knocked up here by the Nautilus, but I think he should be fine. Interesting decisions there from Ford.
Yeah, Ford getting a little greedy. He saw the low health bar on Tygoon. He knew he had all out up. He knew he could take him in the 1v1, but no, unfortunately, all of Tygoon's friends are there to take those Void Grubs, and they have 5 of those now. It's really going to help anyone who decides to split off and split push. You're going to be spawning Void Mites. For those who don't know, the Void Grubs, each Void Grub you take gives you a stack of damage over time against turrets and objectives. And on top of that, if you have 5 or more, the max being 6. If you have 5 or 6, you spawn little extra minions called Void Mites when you attack towers. So very, very helpful when split pushing.
Yeah, I'm a Void Might enjoyer. They're really cute, so it kind of sucks that we won't be able to see them because nobody has 5, but I think it's still fine. Looking at the game state, though,
Oh,
we have a little bit of a...
Knights of Ishtar have 5.
Oh, Knights of Ishtar have 5. Oh, I thought...
Yes.
Oh, because... Wait, I thought it was Knights of Shamash got 2 and Knights of Ishtar with 1.
No,
So
Knights of Shamash got Knights of Shamash. Knights of Shamash are on the left side, and they got 1 in the first engagement, and Knights of Ishtar got 2. And Knights of Ishtar got all 3 in the second engagement.
Oh, then yeah, they have enough to get the gubbins. Oh, they're so adorable. Look at the game map or game state of the map though. A little bit of a gold lead. That's about I think 1,500. More or less for the sides of Ishtar. They're just gonna grab their first Drake, the Ocean Drake, as we see our Infernal Soul now. Speed Street may not be in the best position, uses the Grand Entrance as the Enchanted Crystal Arrow actually sails along with him, but lands onto... Oh no, it didn't land onto Smolder, it landed onto Rakan.
Knights of Ishtar able to take the Ocean Drake. Vimstat caught out here.
Vimstat gonna be canceling out the Spectral Maul with the Cataclysm, but you're just surrounded by 3 people. Ash is there a little bit too late, and unfortunately you are a very dead Gear 4.
Well, seeing Kings coming out mid, but
even gave
Tygoon
back the red buff to Roberto as the Unstoppable stops the claw from Tygoon. I don't actually know what that's called. I think it's Death's Grasp. The
I want to say you're right. I do want to say it is Death's Grasp.
It does feel very graspy and very deadly, doesn't it? As we look at the top side, form maybe not in the best position, does have the all out. Let's see what he's going to be able to do here. Uses the Unstoppable, buys a lot of time here with the teleport from Ash as well, but Tygoon flashing forward gets stunned by the Event Horizon, and the dive goes in not their way at all as Roberto and Ventro not in a good position. Vimstat chasing very hungrily, uses the flash. Ash not afraid, gonna get that second kill, and now 4-1 for the Vigar. Very, very strong is he as Vimstat. Maybe looking for more. Looks like they're just gonna be trading out the chickens.
Yeah, and that's a really unfortunate dive. If we had replay ops, I'd want to observe that one over and over and over again because Ford played that so well. He used the Unstoppable to get out and pursue up into the tower, and when everyone walked up to come after him, he used the all-out to go back through the tower.
Goalkeeper, though.
Lots of time.
I hate to interrupt you, but Goalkeeper may not be in the best position. The Enchanted Crystal Arrow does land even across the flap, and Ash actually flashes forward. Frostbite gonna get killed by the Smolder here as Nautilus trades it back. A little bit of a mistake there from the Knights of Ishtar 80 carry, but they'll still take the 1-for-1.
Yeah, I don't think Frostbite was prepared for how much damage Mom can do, but Mom is an angry Dragon Mother. Not only is she going to burn you alive, she's also going to heal up Smolder, and that bought them just enough time to get the kill over onto Smolder. Man, we went from unwilling to fight to we're going to take every fight, and I'm here for it. This is the kind of League of Legends I like. Just action-packed all the time. That top trade, I think you talked about Vigar having 4 kills. That is a matter of they've had fairly decent positioning this entire game. The rotate over to pick out Tygoon in the jungle, rotated up for that play in the top side, and that, you know, the baby cage, so to speak, goes and saves another teammate, and they're doing really well on farm. They actually are the highest in the game, so I imagine that Vigar has a lot of stacks right now.
Very, very strong. Knights of Shamash performing very well right now, especially into the proposed #1 team in the power rankings. Pretty good here from Knights of Shamash. Let's see if they're going to be able to keep up the consistency and bring it to a game 2 here. The game 1 being a win. The Herald is now getting started up by Vaperto as we see a little bit of a trade in the top lane.
That is the one thing that's been going very, very well, and it's reflected in the gold lead for Knights of Ishtar, as they've had control over most of the objectives, only losing 1 drag. Uh-oh, pick.
Frostbite getting caught out with the Cataclysm, does not have flash.
It's a ult for ult trade, both of them coming away with barely any health, but the nice thing for Tygoon is that he still has his teleport up so he can back, and then I imagine he'll teleport right back up to the top side so that he doesn't lose that much farm. There he goes.
And looking at the game state right now, the gold lead that Knights of Ishtar, I believe, got earlier is basically now diminished to a 1,000 gold lead. The gold allocated into the Etoe, the Kraken Slayer Viego, and the Nautilus. This Nautilus could be dealing out some damage. But
everyone
yeah.
coming out into their first item power spikes here, and you know the problem is Ashe isn't quite online as a big damage threat yet, but the scaling definitely benefits Knights of Shamash.
So we see another dredge line onto T Street. The Knights of Ishtar, or Knights of Shamash, just keep getting routed here. 2 kills already for Knights of Ishtar, and they might have found the fight that they were looking for, as we see a flash forward from Nautilus looking for more onto Vimstat, and it looks like they will be able to grab that kill. It's an easy triple there for Knights of Ishtar. I think he'll take that. That's a pretty good catch out.
They're looking for a fourth. Ford is caught out alone here. They're taking a lot of damage from this tower, though.
You gotta look at the tower, guys. There is no wave just yet. You have to wait for the next one, as we see the TP from Ashe to keep his top laner alive, and I think they have to respect this one.
But Knights of Ishtar able to use the power of Ziggs to take out that turret. The satchel charge comes out, the turret goes down, and honestly, after the fight you just had, you'll take that. That's a more pressure, considering your tier 1s are still up in mid and top. More pressure to get onto these next objectives. Baron coming up soon. I don't think anyone's quite ready to fight for it, but if Knights of Ishtar can get their hands onto that, they could balloon that gold lead a little more, focus on taking out those objectives. That's the one of the biggest benefits of having a Ziggs, is those towers go down quick.
Yes, that is true. You are correct when you say that, because very strong. They weren't able to get the find. They weren't able to find the kill onto Ford. Even if they did take down that tower early, we had Cash teleporting anyway, and Ford's a pretty tanky boy with that. What is that? Is that Hollow Radiance?
Yes, that is a Hollow Radiance, one of the new items this season.
That's the one that gives MR, right? That's the one that gives
essentially
MR.
a Sunfire Cape, but for magic resist. The biggest difference is that it gives slightly less base stats. I think it gives 45 magic resist, where Sunfire Cape gives 50 armor. But it also does slightly less damage per tick than Sunfire Cape, so it's got less health scaling. But every time a unit dies, it gives a small explosion around them, and that includes minions. So it's very, very good for helping top laners wave clear.
That sounds pretty compelling, especially as a Cassante into the Mordekaiser and Ziggs as well. You know, I think you might be looking towards a Force of Nature as a Canic Return as well. But the gold now, actually, Frostbite got a lot of gold thanks to that previous fight. So this Ashe started to become a bit of a problem now as well. As you see the Rift Herald getting put down in the mid lane. Trying to siege here is Knights of Ishtar, 5-man strong in the mid lane.
Yeah, no one elects to ride the Rift Herald to get the extra damage / extra Void Might spawning, but you know, you don't want to put yourself in a very predictable position. It's kind of obvious where you're going to pop out from. They are caught out in the bush by the vision. Both teams kind of trading back and forth here. So far, slowly favoring Knights of Ishtar, but Knights of Shamash not playing poorly by any means, and they're only going to get stronger as the game goes through. Walk us through the next few minutes as everyone sets up for drag. What do you think the game plan is here from, you know, Knights of Ishtar to make sure that they can end this game a little earlier?
Well, in the previous streak, there was a very simple strategy that they garnered from one of the best teams in Europe. It's called the Fnatic Brush. And if you get that done again, I think this streak should be theirs. That's the sole point now. Pretty strong, especially if it's the Infernal, and with a composition like this, that if you keep moving the tempo forward, there's not really a lot that Knights of Shamash can do. I think, honestly, you might want to give this one up because of how strong Knights of Ishtar are right now. They do have the gold lead for them now.
Both teams posturing here. Kind of looks like a fight could break out at any moment. Death by Video Games just always willing to go in. He has that Locket of Iron Solari going to keep him and his team very healthy on every engage. Here come Knights Shamash.
Yeah, it's gonna be a pretty interesting fight for the soul here. Ash on the sidelines looking for something. Here comes Mom, dealing out some damage. Actually lands onto
Here we
both
go.
backliners. Has a lot of damage as they engage. Dead by not, led by Video in the front line. Not gonna take him down actually. Ventro not in the best position as P Street goes into the backline for this, just dishing out damage into the backline. Frostbite, you are not winning this 1v1 against the Cassante as Vimstat's gonna grab that kill with the Cataclysm. Two people already down for both teams as it's the bot laners for Knights of Ishtar. And I don't know who won that team fight so far as Roberto is staying here, maybe looking for a little bit of a steal. Ventro does have the teleport. Let's see if he decides to go for it. Here comes Ford.
Here it comes.
Dealing out some damage onto Tygoon as Vimstat is going forward, dealing up some damage. The Smolder is still alive, remember, but Vimstat is gonna go down immediately, and Roberto's gonna get those reset lands, the flag, and drag with the flash, and it looks like this is just gonna be an easy win for Knights of Ishtar.
Oh man, easy maybe for them, but for me, I was on the edge of my seat. That fight just kept going and kept going. It just felt like it would never end. Ventro had time to back and then TP back in, and they were just fighting the whole time. The biggest thing, Tygoon able to barely stay alive, and that bought his team so much space. They were able to peel apart an already split spike, got even more split, and that bought them all the space they needed. Bowkeeper tried to steal the drag from Tygoon, but Vaperto was ready, and now they're going to get a Baron off the back of that. This is something I really feel like Knights of Shamash, you said they should have given up the drag, and, you know, with the hindsight being what it is, I think I agree. If they had just given it up, they would have at least all been up. They would have prevented the Baron. You give up the third drag, and that sucks, but you are going to scale up. This gave so much tempo to Knights of Ishtar. They're going to look to push it in every lane.
Yeah, a little bit of a terrible position that Knights of Shamash have gotten themselves into. The game isn't over. It isn't over until it's over. But it is now a 3.8k, almost 4,000 gold lead for Knights of Ishtar. And it's looking pretty dire now with the Baron. They're going to be starting up the siege with a 1-3-1 here. Yeah, I think all of this could have just prevented if they had decided to not fight, or had they decided to fight once the 4 kills went down. I think they could have just backed up because well, your Ash, your Vigor is gone, and a lot of the gold is onto him. You won't receive that value from the event horizon as well, which is pretty good into the low range of this Viego and Mordekaiser. Just a little bit of a lose-lose scenario for Knights of Shamash, unfortunately.
Yeah, and again, Knights of Ishtar just pushing that pace, taking towers. That's what they're going to look to do with the amount of pressure that you automatically generate from wearing that purple cloak from Baron. We actually saw the Mega Inferno Bomb come out just to clear wave in mid and keep that pressure up. And now they're converging on bot side, finally going to take that tier 1 there. And this is what you want, because you still have your tier 1 at mid and top. You've now taken the enemy tier 1 in both those lanes. That allows a lot easier access to the objective. So as you continue to fight, your positioning becomes so much easier. The enemies have way less control over the area, way less vision, and a big contingent. Both teams kind of drooping up around this bot side tower. It's not going to matter because Ziggs just destroys those towers. Out comes another satchel charge. Knights of Ishtar are going to back off. Knights of Shamash just need to find a way to stabilize.
And stabilizing they will try, but I fear that it will be very difficult. The gold lead has ballooned to a 4,000 gold lead, I think, thanks to that
nearly 6,000, I think, now.
Oh, that's 6,000. Oh, I
yeah, 43,000 to 49,000 up there. Sheesh. Big lead for Knights of Ishtar.
That is a very big lead. As we look towards the objectives, we have 2 minutes until the soul. Now, because, you know, they were able to get the soul point, all they need is just one Drake, and if they get a good position, they can just easily take it. But of course, since they have the soul point, I think they can afford to be like, hey, you know, if you don't find a good position to fight for this fight, then they could very well just give it up, Knights of Ishtar. But I don't think they're going to be doing that.
Yeah, they're not forced to fight for this Drake by any means, but especially with this kind of comp that wants to keep up the tempo, not let the other team scale in, they definitely would like to have good position, and that's what they're doing right now. They've got vision all over Knights of Shamash's jungle, and they are just wiping it out. They're gonna get that position early.
Respect this a lot. pushing forward your advantages, using the power that you have to really choke out the enemy from any other possibilities. As you can see, Knights of Shamash, they're trying to get in here, but it's just very difficult without any vision.
Yeah, no vision, especially when Knights of Ishtar, they demonstrated earlier. Enchanted Crystal Arrow comes in.
But the rest of Ash's team is here as Dredgeline was not ready for that Enchanted Crystal Arrow, and it looks like the Ash Arrow is just going to be used without Malice. I think it should be up before that next fight, though.
It
Look at the timer.
will be up, I believe. Yeah, it will be up, if not before the dragon, shortly after. But I don't think it's going to matter.
Flashing forward onto Ash, just uses the Realm of Death onto him as they go into the backline now. Knights of Shamash, they might have found the fight they wanted as Tygoon takes down the Vigar, and it looks like this is just not the fight for them, as Ford's going to be the next one on the chopping list. It's a double kill for the Ash now, and Peace Street and Bowkeeper, the only people left alive, but I think that's just game here for Knights of Ishtar.
Yeah, it was a very, very important moment earlier when we saw Knights of Ishtar get those kills onto that Ash, really accelerated them into the game. Everyone else already had some gold onto them, but getting that double kill onto that Ash is they're continuing to put up the pressure.
Nautilus smashing forward, and the Rakan just goes into thin air. It's a double kill for the top laner of Knights of Ishtar, and I think that's all she wrote for this one.
Yeah,
they decided to go to the to go back because Paperto already got the trick for them.
Yeah, so that's Soul coming out, and it's definitely looking dire now. There's not much to be done for Knights of Shamash if they don't try something drastic soon. It's hard to see how they get themselves back into this game. Like I said, they were able to get some kills onto their Ash. That felt really big for getting her accelerated and getting Frostbite ready to go, and that's been kind of major in these latest fights because the amount of space Tygoon just picks out the biggest threat to Frostbite and whisks them away to the Death Realm. Then Frostbite fronts to backs. Both these teams kind of built for that front to back style, sending in their frontliners to engage. And right now, Frostbite's just providing more value than Bowkeeper can. Bowkeeper went for the tankier build instead of pure crit. You see he's rocking the Spear of Shojin and the Leandries, but that does sacrifice a bit of that upfront damage. So, it's pretty tough. I just don't think that the execution has been there for Knights of Shamash. It's been there at times. We've seen flashes of really high skill ceiling, but overall, I think the macro gameplay has been what's really benefiting Knights of Ishtar.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of the Smolder build. I've always liked the full crit with the Navori and the Rapid Fire. I think the Rapid Fire actually will be very helpful into the Ziggs and the Ash, but he decides not to opt for it. I think he's just respecting the damage that Viberto and Tygoon can dish out, but as this Baron is spawned now, you can see the rest of Knights of Ishtar just clearing out vision, seeing what they could do here in the River Pit as they just started up in front of Knights of Shamash's base. I don't think they can really do anything. As we see P Street moving into the backline, a teleport from Ford there. Mom lays down some damage, but the Mega Inferno Bomb looks like it's going to deal a lot more. Enchanted Crystal Arrow goes between the goal post as Tygoon is getting dealt a lot of damage as, well, there goes Ash.
Veigar just disappeared there. There was a Veigar and then there wasn't.
Magic trick from Ziggs as Knights of Shamash now getting routed here, separated. Vimstat not in the best position as they look for something onto Bowkeeper. Here comes the engage from P Street, but already the J4 is just gonna go down as Bowkeeper is gonna be the next one on the list, and it's just an easy sweep of kills here from Knights of Ishtar.
This one's definitely chalked. I mean, you saw Vimstat gets the engage onto Frostbite, and it just didn't matter. Frostbite just stood there like a turret and deleted him. And yeah, Ventro there with Tygoon. That's going to be the end of those towers and probably the end of this game.
It's just not fun at all, as you see lots of damage onto Ventro Bear, but it's just not going to matter because the Nexus is Bear. Tygoon's looking for even more, but that's just an easy game one for Knights of Ishtar.
Yeah, it started out very contested. Things were going back and forth. It felt like maybe we would get the time to see the Smolder and the Veigar really scale in. We saw the Veigar started 4-1. Very strong performance, but ultimately never got another kill. And I think that's, you know, of Knights of Ishtar really knowing when to step on the gas and push the pace. Really, really strong performance from them ultimately. And like I said, with nameplates off, I liked the Knights of Shamash draft better, but like I said, I think in the draft, Knights of Ishtar just really know how to operate that high tempo, scrappy draft, and I think that showed.
Yeah, I don't want to take anything away from Knights of Ishtar. They had a stellar performance with the tempo and playing all around the map. But I feel like a lot of that could have been prevented if Knights of Shamash had respected them a little more. Like we were talking about that Infernal Soul fight for Knights of Ishtar. Could have just given that away, but they lost a lot of gold for it, and they didn't even get the Drake. And a lot more positioning mistakes from the rest of Knights of Shamash. Kind of just. Towing this game away from their hands. So really unfortunate performance there from Knights of Shamash, but I think you'll still, looking at this game, especially the early game, you can you could rewatch the VOD. You could say, hey, we had a pretty good early game. We showed up pretty well with our, early game decisions with a scaling composition, nonetheless. But yeah, I think you just gotta reset your mental and come back with a stronger confidence next game.
And let's hope they do. This has been a really fun matchup to watch. And like you said, not to take anything away from either team, Knights of Shamash, like I said, have those flashes. We know they can perform. Let's see if they can bring it in the next game. We're going to go to a short break and we'll be back for game 2 of BTL week 2.
Welcome back to the second game of the first match of week one or week two for BTL. Knights of Ishtar pretty handily dismantling Knights of Smash in the first game. I'm pretty confident to say past like the 20-minute mark, they had a pretty good control of the game. So we're heading into game two with Knights of Smash looking for a little bit of a revenge on their brother team, Nar.
And a different strategy coming out in the draft this time. We see two mid lane bans from Knights of Ishtar. I assume mid lane. I guess Brand is a jungle ban nowadays. But Knights of Shamash actually opting to ban the Smolder. They do not want to give that prio pick to Knights of Ishtar. And in response, Knights of Ishtar decide to ban the Maokai. And I think that's a good play. And then the Karma ban comes out. So a lot of the OPs are gone. And Knights of Ishtar, again, they're going to put Death by Video Games back on the Nautilus. And it seems to be maybe his strongest champ. He's been very, very exceptionally good on that champ.
Yeah, he performed amazing on the Nautilus last game, especially with their composition that relied on having a good early base with a good tempo and keeping the pressure up. So very excited to see what that video game can pick up here. As Knights of Shamash, I was talking about this last week actually. There was not a lot of Senna priority, but this time we're gonna get the first pick for Shamash as well as the Mordekaiser as well. I don't think Tygoon had a bad game on Mordekaiser last game. It's just or yeah, I don't think Tygoon. Yeah, well, they won obviously. I'm sorry, I mistook Ford for Tygoon. But yeah, the Mordekaiser actually did pretty well last game, so I'm excited to see what Ford can do now against Tygoon, who just played it last game.
Ooh, and this is dangerous. Frostbite gonna be put on the Varus again. He actually had the first pentakill in BTL Season 16 on the Varus last week. I got to cast that game. It was very exciting. So this is a dangerous pick. A really good draft so far for Knights of Ishtar. They're putting their eggs back in the Frostbite basket, and they have the Viego again to try and bridge that early game, let them take control of the objectives and the map early on and keep it. I'm liking this draft so far.
Yeah, I'm interested to see. Was it a on hit or a lethality virus? I didn't actually get to watch
I
that game.
actually didn't take notes on that. No, I'm failing as a
no.
customer. What am I doing? I believe it was
Well, you have to think that it's
on
unhit, right?
I
feel like it's very difficult to get a lethality penta. Yeah. Definitely interested to see what Frostbite can do with that pick as we round out the first phase of picks. Knights of Shamash are going to pick up the Lee Sin Viego. I absolutely adore this jungle matchup. I'm interested to see what they're going to be able to pick up here as we see the second round of bans. Ziggs and Talia. Ziggs, of course, pretty good performance there last game. They're going to take away the Veigar as well.
The mid lane champ pool, very narrowed down here. Ari, Talia, Veigar, Ziggs, Karma, and depending on how you want to look at it, Brand, all being banned out. And I got technically, the Knights of Ishtar mid laner can play Karthus as well. So the mid lane pool is shrinking significantly this draft. You mentioned liking the Lee Sin and the Viego as just as a matchup being entertaining to watch. I'm interested to see Vimstat pick up the Lee Sin because it felt like he was able to initiate fights, but didn't quite have the performance on the J4 that I would have liked to see. He was able to start and get on to people, but never really able to clean them up because his team kind of got melted before they could get to the back line, or they would end up getting split up. So maybe the Lee Sin will allow him to be able to take kills on his own. And the Swain coming out, is that a Swain mid or a Swain support?
I feel like that is definitely going to be going in the bot lane as well as putting it into the Senna. I've played a few games of Varus into Swain as an AD carry, and let me tell you, it's not the funnest. Unless you're going lethality Varus, the on-hit variety is very, very difficult to play, especially in the lane when you have a high-range Senna with the Swain never move. It's just very difficult if your support doesn't find a good early lead or find these picks that will help you accelerate the lane. Knights of Ishtar are going to be rounding up their composition with the Aatrox into the Mordekaiser. You mentioned this last game that because the Aatrox was banned, they are not able to pick that up against the Mordekaiser. So overall, the 1v1s and the singular lane matchups are very, very fun to watch here in the second game.
Yeah, Aatrox, something that Tygoon willing to pick. He picked it last week, had a loss in the Cat Cowboys, but showed some resilience, picked it right back up, and showed how well he can play it. Some dangerous picks coming up for Knights of Ishtar. It looks like they're trying to put themselves on a lot of comfort to close this out in 2 games, but Knights of Shamash really trying to pigeonhole in a good draft here, force Knights of Ishtar to maybe play in a way that they're not comfortable with, even if they're on champs that they like. And the Renekton into the Aatrox, is this now a
Whoa.
classic top lane matchup? Oh
Wait.
boy.
So where does the Mordekaiser go? Are they putting that in the mid lane against Cassiopeia?
I don't. Is it a Mordekaiser support and a Swain mid? I don't know actually. Wait, Knights of Shamash, what is happening? I'm stunned.
Well, if their strategy was to confuse Knights of Ishtar after last game, they're definitely doing it to us casters, as we don't know where anybody goes. We're just gonna have to see until the actual picks come through. Look at the composition, though. Both teams have very well-rounded, very good compositions. The Cassiopeia is kind of a wild card for Knights of Ishtar, which I think it's very good into the composition of Knights of Shamash. We got for fairly low range. I guess you could say Swain is bit mid-ranged. But yeah, there's a lot of mobility that Cassiopeia can cancel out. So I really like this pick from Knights of Ishtar. The skirmishing power from both of these teams are insane. So we're really just going to have to see what sort of execution and what early lead they're going to be able to find on either side.
Yeah, I think this one's going to be high octane very early on, and go in and out of combat constantly. Just these constant trades really. Man, I'm just excited. It's gonna be so back and forth.
It seems so exciting.
Draft. I'm super happy about it. I want us to let's get into the in-game draft. I want to see where is any of the Knights of Shamash champs going. We know Senna's in the bot lane somewhere, Lee Sin is in the jungle somewhere, and that's pretty much the extent of what we can confirm.
I mean, honestly, we've seen some Lee Sin tops in the previous years. Maybe they're gonna bring it back for a possibility. I don't know if it's a good idea. Actually, no, it wasn't Lee Sin like a mere counter pick against Aatrox when like Lee Sin's top was pretty good. I feel like I remember that meta being a thing.
Let's search. We're gonna look at the pro play history of Lee Sin for a little bit. Game version.
Yeah, there were a couple splits where Lee Sin top, Lee Sin mid as well were pretty good, and people were basically blind picking as well. So we never really know. It's most probably going to be in the jungle. It's going to be Mordekaiser in the jungle.
Oh, it's Lee Sin mid lane then? It's gotta be, right? It's not Lee Sin support.
Into the Cassiopeia though, I don't know how much I like that.
Yeah, it's dangerous, right? Because if we're able to bait out.
Is Lee Sin support?
Is Lee Sin support? What am I doing?
Well, no, it's probably Senna support with Lee Sin bot lane. But still, yeah, Lee Sin bot lane. Damn, you know what? I respect it.
Is there any Lee Sin bot lane enjoyers in chat? Someone explain this pick to me. If I was stunned before, I'm certainly I'm flabbergasted now.
Yeah, I feel like I definitely respect this from Knights of Shamash. If this is their game plan. They're really trying to get the gears working for Knights of Ishtar. Senna Lee Sin. We've seen the likes of Senna Nautilus, Senna Tom Kench, but Senna Lee Sin. Now that is a completely different breed. Inviction. The previous support, unfortunately not here. Peace Street subbing in for him said in chat, "Trust the process."
Okay, we'll trust. We'll trust the Lee Sin in the bot side. Oh man, I went from like excited to watch this game to like bouncing up and down. This is, my goodness.
That bot lane is going to be so volatile. I love it.
Yeah, this is all or nothing. Knights of Shamash putting it all on the line here. Lee Sin top in anticipation, and now I'm going to have to switch it So whatever happened to Lee Sin support?
I do remember. I think it was back all the way back in 2014. LPL's RNG when Uzi was there. Actually, they had a game of Lee Sin bot with Vayne. I think they had like some conflicting decisions made because of Uzi wanted to play Vayne, but they picked Lucian for him, so he chose to Vayne anyway, and so they had to make do with Lucian in the mid lane and put Lee Sin in the bot lane. Other than that, I don't know if there's ever been any other Lee Sin bot lane games. I do not remember seeing a
So
single Lee Sin bot lane game.
I will get the stats on that for everybody, and then we will come back after one, and I will have those stats once we do. We've got a short break, and then we'll see how this goes. Oh my goodness. And then we'll see how this goes. Oh my. All right. Welcome back, everyone. I have done my research, and we have Bowkeeper is actually technically in the support slot, but playing the Lee Sin this game. P-Street on the Senna. And I looked it up. Lee Sin support has been played twice so far in Season 14, and it won both games. So maybe that is... I mean, I'm just saying, results-based analysis... Lee Sin, one of the best supports in Season 14, 100% win rate.
100% win rate, yeah.
All right, both teams kind of spread out, starting to get vision here in the early game. In terms of, we talked about win conditions last game, where we had two very diametrically opposed teams. We had one team that wanted to play late and scale, and one team that wanted to just really snowball early, and we saw which of those two dynamics won out. This game, it feels it's a little bit more even, both comps being a little bit more well-rounded.
Yeah, definitely going to be an interesting game here. I am looking at the runes, and we see Bowkeeper choosing the Electrocute as opposed to the very common Conqueror. I wonder if that implies that he might decide to go for a little bit more of a bursty build, something with a Profane Hydra, a Collector maybe, or some Yomus. Gonna be interested to see how that happens. Other than that, nothing else too out of the ordinary when it comes to runes.
Yeah, it looks like everybody kind of sticking to some stock standard. Looks like we will have, I imagine, the on-hit Varus again, judging by the lethal tempo. Lots of Conquerors this game. The top side of both teams running Conquer. It's the standard rune for all of their champs, so nothing too surprising there.
It would be sick if somebody went lethality with lethal tempo. I would love to see how that works. As we see, the top
I imagine not well.
Ford was able to get that level 2 first, but it didn't look like Tygun took too much damage. Other than that, though, the junglers, I think, pretty much doing the same clear as the last game, clearing out their top side and then heading into the bot lane, which is fairly respectable considering how volatile that bot lane is. As we see some trading in the bot lane, or in the mid lane rather. Ash not really getting the betterment of that trade as we see some Bowkeeper with the mechanics on Lee Sin.
Yeah,
Fading out that dredge line.
I will say, as much as I like the goofiness of the Lee Sin draft, it's really going to be up to him on execution this game. Lee Sin is not an easy champ to pilot, especially not in a weird off roll. It's going to be up to Bowkeeper to really, really, really step up and make this pick worth it, because you think of all the high value supports you can throw down there. Very classically, you put the Tom Kench with the Senna. Some more farming-based, quote-unquote, supports, tanks with very high early stats to let the Senna, bridge into the late game. Lee Sin, he's a stronger Ford.
Lots of damage onto Ford, stuns him up, does have the flash, and it's gonna be traded, but Tygun still takes that one. It's a first blood there. Pretty easy from Tygun. Coming back onto the talk about Lee Sin, I didn't actually realize, but he went the support item instead of Senna being the one with the support item. And Senna's the one CSing. I thought they were gonna switch it up like the very common Senna ways, but apparently not.
Yeah, no, that's what they actually went Lee Sin support. It's not even like a farming Lee Sin, which I think is kind of difficult. Lethality items aren't the cheapest.
I don't like that. I really don't.
Yeah, normally
I was really hoping they would make him CS.
Yeah, normally you're pairing Senna, like I said, with top laners, essentially, that have an easier time farming very high early game supports that can dish out some decent damage, that can farm out the minions and let Senna just scale. Ventro taking the better of most of these trades in the mid lane. Ash Ketchum not really having a good time.
This is very good Cassiopeia gameplay from Ventro. I really like it. -1 there in the chat for Frostbite. Very unfortunate. But in the top lane, it looks like both of them got a recall already. This wave is pushing into Tygoon. Neither of them have flash, and both junglers are in the vicinity. But Vimstat is a lot closer. Let's see if he decides to go for something. 15 seconds on the Drake. 13 seconds on the Grubs as well. Lots of damage onto Tygoon.
We're seeing Knights of Shamash. They're rotating up on the map. You can see it there, the mid laner trying to establish some vision control. They're going to try and put some priority onto these Grubs. And that might work out for them. If Operto can't get in there, he's not in a position to just start Dragon and take the trade. And Tygoon is very low.
Scary. As we see in the Rift Herald or the Baron pit, lots of damage over onto Operto, but the Mordekaiser is going to be backing up as well. No Grubs taken just yet. But we already see Bowkeeper moving up after the recall. Death by Video Game is coming as well, but because the Lee Sin here is a lot earlier, like, they really should not go for this, especially considering Cassiopeia does not have much mana. As we see the flash forward onto Ash, does have the flash, flashes away from both the Dredge Line and the Petrifying Gate. As we see Vimstat catches two with the Death's Grasp. It's an easy kill onto Cassiopeia, make that two as Ash gets another onto Nautilus and Knights of Shamash, or Knights of Ishtar actually, not making the best positions. That's an easy triple kill in the mid lane.
Yeah, and we see Bowkeeper maybe saying, you question my pick of the Lee Sin. 100% kill participation now. Good roam up. And like I said, Knights of Shamash, oh, they're looking for another pick here.
Yeah, here comes the World Ender as well as the Dominus. Everything's being used, but Tygoon is fighting a 1v2 that he will not win, and they got another kill off the back end of that fight. This is kind of a disaster for Knights of Ishtar.
Yeah, kind of the worst early game you could ask for. They are able to get the first blood, but beyond that, end up taking a pretty ill-advised fight around the grubs. I did say Shamash was rotating up people way faster. They had that priority. Unfortunately, Viperto wasn't in a position to play for that bot side, and so they decided to play into it, hoping they could hands check their opponent. They don't manage to. It ends up, I believe Viperto is going to get... He is actually going to get the better of the grubs, but I don't think Knights of Shamash care all that much when they got so much gold off of that last fight.
And the gold is spread very evenly into the entire team as well. You've got one kill on every single person except P Street, who decided not to go up. And you'll take that because, you'll get a bunch of gold across everybody. Your damage profile is going to be spread all throughout, and, it's not allocated into just this one person that can easily be taken down. Bowkeeper, already starting out with an early longsword. Really interested to see what build he's going to go for. I think he might decide to go for an Umbral Gave, like most lethality supports.
That would make the most sense. Knights of Shamash, again, getting the early objective control. Looks like they're going to take this dragon entirely uncontested. They have priority in the bot lane, so it's not that surprising, but normally I'm complimenting Knights of Ishtar on their early objective control. This could be a rough hole for them to dig themselves out of. Already down 1,500.
Yeah, that is not the best position to be in. But just like last game, we saw Knights of Shamash with a pretty good early game. They actually put up very well into Knights of Ishtar. The game kind of just went away from them after 15 minutes. So I wouldn't say I'm too surprised to see this good performance from Knights of Shamash. Just interested to see if they can keep it up and not falter just like last game.
Yeah, they need to keep the pressure up. Late game, I do favor the Aatrox over the Renekton in these team fights, and I think it just is going to come down to the execution of their mid and ADCs. I think both can be pretty even. Obviously, Senna scales infinitely with the souls and can get very high range, but that on-hit bar is also very good late game. And both mid laners, I think, have to kind of play around their teams, but more importantly, I think it's going to be a battle of cooldowns if we can get the important cooldowns out of the other team and force them to take some ill-advised engages and then back out. It's gonna be like almost like a game of chess late game.
As we see a gank in the mid lane, Ventro may not be in the best position. The Petrifying Gaze does not find anyone, and the support Lee Sin makes the play for a second there. I thought he was the jungle. Very well done here from Knights of Shamash.
Yeah, that was just so well played from Bowkeeper. He backs out to avoid the Petrifying Gaze, so he only takes the slow instead of the stun, and then immediately goes back in. He has to be careful, though. He doesn't know Viperto's there, but he is able to just back out.
It's a jungle fight with the support Lee Sin.
Yeah, no,
usually in the jungle.
That's both junglers fighting. Surely, if you're tuning into the stream the first time and you see the Lee Sin gank mid lane and then you see him fight the enemy jungler, you're like, that's the jungler.
As we see in the top lane, actually, both ultis gonna get used up. Tygoon has a little bit more help, but the sun finally lands, and Tygoon may not be in the best position. It's a solo kill for the Crocodile in the top lane.
A solo bolo for Renekton. This is his strongest period of the game. He's a big lane bully. Ford is showing that off now. He's gonna go ahead and take this opportunity to take that kill to get some early farm, try and push out his lead even further.
Look at that.
He might even get a plate here. That's gonna be a lot of gold onto that Renekton.
Luckily, Viperto is here to pick up the wave, so not all is lost, but still, I think this lane is kind of a little bit over until maybe 20-25 minutes.
Yeah, it's going to be tough for Aatrox to play into this now, especially if Ford can continue to, force the fights and not have the interruptions of Viperto. It doesn't focus his attention on Tygoon, but I don't think, as the Viego, that's the lane you want to be fighting. You don't want to be fighting the Renekton either. Bowkeeper just on a permanent roam here. They have, Knights of Shamash actually have rotated their bot lane up to mid. And
as we see an ulti, the Demon Flare Doesn't land onto Frostbite as he flashes as the first Void Grab going to be going over onto Knights of Ishtar as already Vimstat in the best position uses the Realm of Death onto the Cassiopeia, but the Electrifying Gaze is just going to lock him up and stun him. Vimstat is gone. And I think these Gubbies should go in the way of Knights of Ishtar.
Yeah, well played from Knights of Ishtar there. They also were able to bring up their support, but more importantly, they had Ventro instead of their ADC, and that Petrifying Gaze made a big difference, allowing him to survive the Death Realm and come back out and play into the team fight. The 1v1 in the bot lane being an ADC against the mid laner ultimately doesn't favor Knights of Shamash because they don't have their high impact team fight mage there with them.
Ford maybe using the dominance into the tower is just gonna stun him up and just gonna kill him. Crocodiles are very deadly this time of the year as Diego looking for more. Lands the Eclipse, lots of healing, 2 levels down. Vaperto, I'm not really sure about this one. Without the Heartbreaker, the Viego is just gonna back away.
Wow, really well played from Ford. Ford doesn't take any CC there, able to dodge out on both Tygoon's, Darkened Blades as well as Vaperto's stun and make them pay big healing. And Vaperto, like you mentioned, doesn't have the Heartbreaker, so he's not willing to take that fight. Probably smart, or else he's just giving Ford a free double kill. Ford, talked up about how much he really wasn't looking forward to this top side and he was going to make Tygoon pay. We were not sure about it in the first game, but he's definitely backing it up in this second game.
Yeah, it's a varying performance from Knights of Ishtar comparing their last game performance to this one. Like I said earlier, Knights of Shamash did have a pretty good early game in the previous game, but this one's kind of getting out of control as Ford. Gonna get caught out by the Umbro Chains as Nautilus is here as well. No ultis on either top laner. No flashes as well as Death by Video Games doesn't land anything. It's 4 people actually in the top lane. Looking to shut down this Crocodile as Vimstat's gonna grab the Drake. Frostbite now alone in the bot lane. Probably want to get out of there. Gets hit by the Never Move. I don't know about this one, Varus.
Yeah, Ford.
Here comes the teleport. Gonna get grasped by November Mordekaiser, as in the top lane, 2 people actually teleporting in. It's a fight on both sides of the map. Petrifying Gaze is gonna find 2. Here comes the Senna ulti, but it doesn't really find much. Ventro is very tanky with this Rod of Ages in the top lane. Ford is just 1v2ing. He's gonna get the kill onto Vaperto soon enough. No flash, however. Let's see if he can slice and dice his way onto the arms of the king. I don't think he's gonna be able to, and somehow, with 2 fights on the opposite sides of the map, nobody dies.
Nobody dies, but Knights of Shamash, honestly, really come out on top anyways, because Knights of Ishtar put 4 people top and aren't able to kill Ford, which is just ridiculous. They would have liked to get that 300 gold bounty, and in return, Knights of Shamash get a dragon, and it looks like they're poised to go ahead and take that bot tower as well. It really sucks when you position a lot of your team up to that part of the map and aren't able to really get anything out of it. It's a lot of wasted tempo, as now Knights of Shamash are going to go ahead and take the initiative here and get set up for Rift Herald, it looks like. Like I talked about, that early objective control being very, very strong for them. About a 2,500 gold lead now, and those dragons are going to be important, especially with the next soul being Hextech. That's a very, very impactful soul, and stacking those.
Goalkeeper tries to go for the insect, but unfortunately doesn't get it done. Uses the ward and the flash as well, but it doesn't even get to use the ulti. Ventro uses some fast snake. What's it called? Tails? Is it a tail? Body?
Yeah, it is a snake tail, so yeah,
very quick there was Cassiopeia.
She can't build boots, but she does get extra movement speed as her passive, so, she's a little quick devil, gets away from the Lee Sin before he can complete the insect, and Death by Video Game smartly following up by just rooting and backing away so he himself doesn't get insect. Frostbite actually going to go ahead and take the tower bot side. Get the
advantage for this Herald.
Turret.
All the objectives going in favor of Knights of Shamash thanks to their wonderful early game. I didn't actually take account which of the Void Grubs was given to either team.
So, but 5 of the Void Grubs actually did fall over to Knights of Ishtar, and Knights of Shamash did only get 1 Void Grub, so that is the one objective where Knights of Ishtar took an advantage.
The Swain ulti gonna get the Never move onto Tygoon as well. That's a lot of damage thanks to the Maligna's. Gonna have to flash the Never or the Death's Grasp rather, and Tygoon took it to try and send it around onto Ash, but the Realm of Death, the Dawning Shadow doesn't land. Tygoon dodges out on the first Obliterate, but Vimsat just auto-attacks him. Meanwhile, Bowkeeper, the enemy jungle, is just 1v1ing the enemy support. I think I know who wins the supportive battle with the Ignite, with the Sonic Wave, and the Dragon's Rage. That's an easy solo kill for the support.
You know,
When was the last time you saw a solo kill?
Totally.
As
Oh
no, the miasma. The miasma cancels out Bowkeeper's Hextake Gate teleport, and it ends up being a 1-for-1 trade. But I think you'll still take that as Bowkeeper. The mental warfare against the enemy support.
I agree. There's a bit of mental there that you just got soloed out in the jungle and by the enemy jungle, but it's not the enemy jungle. It's Bowkeeper playing Lee Sin support. And honestly, Lee Sin will just take that because he wants to accelerate that gold. He'll take a 1-for-1 trade because the more gold he gets early, the more lethal he is. Going a full lethality build, didn't even opt for the Umbral Glaive, as most lethality supports do go straight into the Eclipse for the damage. He's going to be looking to take out the squishier team of Knights of Ishtar, as they don't have any true tank, the tankiest member being their Aatrox, who's reliant on that healing, and Lee Sin just wants to chunk everyone out.
To be fair, Eclipse is very strong right now. The shield it gives you is very, very good. And it gives you max health percent damage as well. As we were talking good about Bowkeeper, it looks like he's just gonna get cut out thanks to the Chains of Corruption. We see a TP from Ford, but it's not really gonna lead much to anything. As the Drake spawns in 30 seconds, Bowkeeper should be there. That's some extra gold for Knights of Ishtar.
Yeah, Bowkeeper should be there, but it is you have to give up a bit of tempo to let him get there. Unfortunately for Knights of Shamash, that pick really hurts their ability to set up for this dragon early.
As we see, the demons are going to be caught up. World as well. Two demons fighting in the top lane as Tygoon seems to be winning out right now, dealing a lot of damage. Doesn't go for the Umbral dash with the Q3, but that's two ultis down now for this Drake that's about to spawn in 4 seconds.
Yeah, both of them do have teleport up, so they're able
to get into their moves forward with Ford in the backline. The Petrifying Gaze is going to stun up the Crocodile immediately. Nautilus has to flash away, but 3 people now not in the best position. Ford has to flash away. Here comes the Piercing Arrow. Doesn't land onto anything as Nautilus looks for a re-engage. Just going to get caught up. Sent to Brazil here from Vinstat. Should be able to get that kill easily as Ventro looking for something back. I think he's gonna have to use the Heartbreaker, but Vimstat is unafraid, moving forward, flashing forward with a double kill. But look at this now, the front to back is pretty good. Here comes Ash, doesn't have the ulti, doesn't gonna land the Never Move, and that's just 2 easy kills for Knights of Shamash, and it should be the Osha or the Hextech Soul for them. Hextech Soul Point.
Yeah, they're gonna go ahead and look for the Soul Point here. Really well played from Vimstat. He takes Death by Video Game to Brazil and uses those extra tank stats to walk forward safely. Probably dies if he doesn't have them.
Oh, Bowkeeper goes back in. He doesn't land the Dragon's Rage into the pit, and Ventro should be fine. Bowkeeper definitely will not. It's now a 4v4, but lots of health bars from Knights of Ishtar. Let's see if they're able to take it. Frostbite somehow manages to steal the Hextech Drake away. Vimstat's gonna get the kill onto Typhoon, or Tygoon rather, but you'll take that for sure as Knights of Ishtar.
Yeah, I mean, it's the 1-for-1 trade, and you get the dragon, which you had no business getting. Knights of Shamash set up well ahead of them, and then again, Frostbite took that, I believe, with Piercing Arrow, which that's a really, really silly mistake.
I don't know if Vince had that or smite there.
Yeah, did he smite early? Is that what happened?
We won't know unless we look at the replay, but after that steal, immediately, I don't know if chat is open in the mainstream, but Frostbite said in chat, bot gap with a lot of O's, so so you know he's feeling himself after that one. The Baron's going to be spawning here. Look at the game state. It's about a 3,000 gold lead for Knights of Shamash, keeping this early to mid game strong for them. Remember, they do still scale pretty well. You know, the Knights of Ishtar, they've got Cassiopeia, Varus, and Aatrox. But like you said earlier, you know, the Senna is here. That's a lot of backline damage. And so far, P Street has not died. He's just kind of been chilling in the backline because nobody can get onto him. He's been positioning pretty well. You know,
yeah, but chilling's the right word for it. No kills, which isn't the worst. Senna still scales up with the souls, has the first item, has that Ghost Blade, very important power spike for Senna, but you'd really like to see the rest of the team is getting up on the 2 items now. You'd like to see that for Senna, but no kills, unfortunately, to get that gold. That Senna very, very fast, you know, can use the Ghost Blade to get away, but that extra damage is going to need to come out at some point. Luckily for Knights of Shamash, the opposing ADC also sat at 0 kills. Both of them playing very safe. Essentially the supports for their teams right now.
Yeah, definitely feeling like it. Look at the items right now. Like you said, both a lot of people coming into their 2 item spike. You can see P Street just bought opportunity there off that recall. I do want to point out though, the jungle mid, both AP on Knights of Shamash, but they both went for Rylai's. And a lot of people should know this, but slows do not stack. So if you buy 2 Rylai's and from 2 damage sources, that slow is not gonna stack. So I don't know how good of an idea that is, especially considering it should probably be Swain who has the slow because of the ulti. But I trust Vimstad. He's been performing pretty well this game. As talking about Vimstad, we might see a 2v2 here in the bot lane. Tygoon gonna be using that World Ender flashing away, but Vimstad just looks in the eyes of the king and sends him over to the death from Dawning Shadow. Gonna be doing some help before this, just killing Aatrox by himself, and now Vaperto not in the best position at all. They were trying to make the play after Vimstad moves down, but it's just an easy double kill here for the top laner of Knights of Shamash. And with the Baron up, you can see Vimstad's moving up. I think they should go for it.
Yeah, I really like that play. The Dawning Shadow able to just give Ford a bunch of extra healing, a little bit of extra, or a bunch of extra shielding, sorry, and a little bit of extra damage. He essentially comes out of that fight full health, like he never even got touched. Vimstad, I also liked him taking Vaperto to the death realm. He doesn't ultimately get any damage onto him, but Vaperto's forced to run away and be in a terrible position, while Ford just 1v1s his opposing top laner.
You see, both top laners now off that respawn. Tygoon is here, no World Ender, no flash as well. As in the front line, actually, it looks like Ashe is just gonna get taken down immediately. The low health parts from Knights of Shamash are not looking too good. Vimstad is down, and the Baron should go the way of Knights of Ishtar. Not the play that they were looking for right now, as 2 people already down. Bowkeeper gonna keep himself alive, but the World Ender is gonna be spawning. The Dredge line finds the AD carry, and that 0-0-7 is gonna become a 0-1-7. Bowkeeper's the next die. And it looks pretty good for Knights of Shamash, but I think this might be the play that brings Knights of Ishtar back into the game.
Yeah, the Knights of Ishtar now just catapulting themselves into a gold lead. A 4-for-0 trade there. 3 kills onto their ADC. A really good play by Frostbite to launch out those binding arrows and get a bunch of picks. Able to just deal so much damage on hit. Varus actually opting for the Gnasher's Tooth, the AP item second, doing plenty of damage with it. Man, we talked about how good of an early game Knights of Shamash had last game, and then we saw some questionable decisions in the mid to late game that seemed to lead to a Knights of Ishtar win. Are we seeing the same thing here? I'm not sure if it was a questionable decision, but what should they have done differently there? It felt like they kind of just got dismantled piece by piece.
I do think that going for the Baron after getting those 2 kills in the bot lane were pivotal. I feel like Ford could have been there a little bit earlier. The TP was just in time with Tygoon after the respawn, as Bowkeeper actually very close to dying here, and he's gonna stay alive for just a little bit. The second Drake should now go the way of Vaperto. But yeah, going back into that Baron play, Ashe got caught, and you know, once you can't save your mid laner like that, I think you just gotta give up the Baron and not give any more kills. But you saw Vimstad and the rest of the team were still staying in the pit. They really wanted the Baron, and for that they get punished in the mid lane though. Vimstad looking for something onto Vaperto. After that timer runs out though, he's in the middle of 3 people. Dawning Shadow keeps himself alive for just a little bit longer, but here comes the Chains of Corruption. That's 1 kill, that's 2 kill already for Frostbite. He's gonna get a third. No, actually that goes to Cassiopeia, but already all of Knights of Shamash are getting aced, and I think that's about game.
Yeah, ace for nothing. Tygoon's not even there. He's in the bot side pushing a wave. That's a really greedy play from Vimstad, who we have been complimenting all game. He tries to chase Vaperto down in the death realm, but Vaperto has, very importantly, has that Sundered Sky, which keeps him very, very healthy. And then the Dawning Shadow, not enough to keep Vimstad. He gets CC'd to Oblivion and back, and just isn't able to get his shields up. Especially as an AP Mordekaiser, he's not the tankiest. He goes down very quickly, and then Frostbite and Ventro just peel through the enemy front line, and now they're up 7k. It feels like just a minute ago, Knights of Shamash were up a couple thousand gold and 6 or 7 kills, and now the game is all tied up on the kill score. The Knights of Ishtar are winning in the objectives somehow now. What happened? This game is totally flipped on its head.
Oh man, that's gotta be such a tilter for Knights of Shamash. They were doing so good, but a couple of eerie mistakes just leads to this mistakes like this one where Ford gets caught out by 3 members trying to turn it around with the Eclipse with the Dominus, but you just don't really deal a lot of damage. Frostbite's gonna grab that kill, and it looks like the Dominos are just tumbling down for Knights of Shamash here. That's gotta be such a boon to their mental.
Yeah, that AP Varus just dealing so much damage. No, really no magic resist on the enemy team, and so there's nothing they can do about him just burning through their team. Taigu is finally healthy enough to start fights.
Using, costing Ash use that ulti. Speedstreet's actually gonna get caught out in the top lane, has to flash away, keeps himself alive as Vimstat uses the realm of that onto Viperto. The Danong Shadow not even gonna find anything, and Vimstat won't even get the kill on the enemy jungler. 3 people, 4 people, all 5 people of Knights of Shamash are down, and we all know who the better Knights are this game. This series has been nothing but Knights of Ishtar absolutely demolishing their brothers. It looked absolutely amazing for Shamash, but after 1 or 2 team fights, the game just went out of their hands. It's an easy 2-0 on the day for Knights of Ishtar.
My head, I thought we were going to a game 3 for sure. My goodness, I mean, credit to Knights of Shamash, a very well played early game. They had some good ideas, but at the end of the day, you gotta be able to carry it through to late. We didn't funnel enough gold into the Senna. I don't feel like the Lee Sin pick was able to keep up for the whole game. Ultimately, a great early game, but a couple of costly mistakes, and it go all for nothing. It doesn't matter when Knights of Ishtar are ultimately the victors of the series, and looking like they want to keep that #1 spot in the power rankings, looking like they're going to keep calling Knights of Shamash little brother for a little bit longer.
Yeah, such a disaster. You really gotta look now for the mental of Knights of Shamash after having such a stellar early game and losing out in that fashion. Absolutely heartbreaking for the Knights there. As moving up into the standings now, Knights of Ishtar undefeated 2-0 in match score. Knights of Shamash going 1-1 after that defeat. It's just you really gotta look now how Knights of Shamash is gonna bounce back after such a heartbreaker of a series.
Yeah, really, really tough for them ultimately. You'd like to see them just pick it up, get ready for next week. Hopefully they'll be back to their full main roster, a bit more synergy, probably a bit more practice with that roster. But man, you Knights of Shamash, I want you guys to know, like, I was rooting for you in that second game. I love goofy drafts. I think that stuff is awesome, but you got to clean up that late game. Those late game objectives just killed you.
The statistics here not in favor of Peachtree. He only dealt 6,500 damage in that game. It's an absolute disaster. He dealt just 200 damage more than the enemy Nautilus. It's just not the best performance there. But looking towards Knights of Ishtar, pretty good performance from them. Who do you think would be their MVP of the series?
MVP of the series for Knights of Ishtar. Man, if I have to look at it, I think
it's very difficult because all of them kind of performed pretty well evenly, so there's no outstanding player. I guess, this game you got Frostbite 7-0, Deathless with a perfect KDA.
Frostbite did go Deathless, had a lot of damage, but you know what? Honestly, I'm gonna throw a shout out here to Viperto. He didn't do like some crazy damage in the second game, but I think in both games, he's been a solid jungler that kind of can control the map. You saw, even though he suffered early, he was still able to take the majority of Void Grubs, and I think those macro plays, a lot of it does fall down to your jungler. And I think he was able to control the map pretty well. Ultimately, that's how they went out the second game. It was some big team fights, but the first game, I think, had a lot to do with the map control. So my shout's for Viperto. I'm gonna throw it out to the jungler.
Yeah, definitely a great performance from him. Overall, a pretty good performance from all the members of Knights of Ishtar. Going to be staying in that number one spot at the top of the BTL standings at week 2, 2-0. Everybody's going to be having their eyes set on defeating the currently undefeated Knights of Ishtar. Unfortunately, we won't probably get a a rematch of the Knights unless they meet in playoffs. So this will be the first time, maybe the last time that these two meet. Ability of revenge for Knights of Shamash, maybe not possibility, but so you'll take the 2-0 for Knights of Ishtar. Other than that, though, that should be about it for the first series of the day. We're going to be coming back later with who was it? It will be Cat Cowboys. Oh no, they swapped that. So it'll be Large Skill Disparity versus Spectre. How are you feeling about that one? Spectre last game or last week actually performed pretty well. I was casting that, and it was amazing to watch.
I'm excited about that. I liked Cat Cowboys last week. I actually got to talk a little bit with Learning, who's the captain of Spectre. Told me a little bit about the team. They've got some fun dynamics going on. Definitely an exciting matchup. I believe if I look, Spectre did 2-0 last week. Maybe Cat
Yes, they
Cowboys
did.
going to throw in a little bit of a wrench in that, try
Oh
and
no, it'll
take him
be
down.
it'll be Large Skill
Sorry,
Disparity
sorry,
versus
large skill
Spectre.
disparity. So large skill disparity also won their match last week. So my apologies, but large skill disparity, yeah, they actually ended up winning in a 2-1 last week. So we're actually gonna get a pretty good game. I'm excited.
Yeah, we really gotta hope because while this game, both games were pretty fun, especially in the early game, it's just not the ending that you're looking for. Definitely looking forward that second series of the day. But before that, we are gonna be going into a break. We're about ready for. We're about to head into that break. The second match will start at 9 p.m. So be here by then.
I'll grab Roberto. But I don't think we're. Yeah, there we go.
Hello, we're
Uh,
back.
yeah. Let's grab Roberto. Okay, I got it.
Hello,
Hello,
Vaperto.
Roberto.
Hello.
Congratulations on a quick 2-0. You got it. You guys got to prove who the better order of knights was this week.
Yeah.
We wanted to bring you in for an interview. Want to start with game one. Really, really flawless macro control. You guys seem to be ahead of the game on every objective. Does that come down to practice, or were you just able to push the tempo with the comp you had? What allowed you to like take control of that game?
Yeah, I mean the comp definitely gives us some tempo. We have some forward pushing pressure champions. We got the early Mord flex, so we can kind of play around with whatever our comp needs after that. Um, and then I mean I just got some early kills, so it's a little easier to play on the map if the jungle has kills. Yeah.
Yeah, Zia, got any
That was
questions?
game one was definitely very fun to watch as well. Absolutely amazing performance. Moving into game two, however, in the draft, how were you feeling when you saw this Lee Sin pick? Because in the casting booth, we were absolutely losing our mind due to the composition of Knights of Shamash. How did you guys manage to? How did you react to the composition that was laid out in front of you?
Yeah, well, I looked at their multi GG and I saw they did play a game of Senna Lee Sin. So we knew like after they picked the top three, we knew that Lee Sin was bot. But I'm kind of surprised they tried to pull it out there. And then I was praying that Mordekaiser was jungle because Viego can actually like win. I should have gone Kraken first. I accidentally bought the wrong component, but whatever. We just got to scale because we have just Cassiopeia Varus, so we just said, okay, we're probably just gonna outscale them because it's not, or it's farming Senna. She had like 30 stacks at like 15 minutes. So we just kind of chilled, gave them some stuff, and then played them on the map at 2 items. And yeah, little apple of my eye, Cassiopeia mid popped off. Just kind of 1v5 pressured them after like 20 minutes. Pretty nice.
Yeah, we were looking at it just felt like Knights of Shamash had such a run of the map in game 2. Felt like they were kind of able to take over the objectives. Part of that obviously due to their non-standard draft, the Lisa, and helping them get some early pressure. How did you know? It seemed like it all turned at that Baron fight. How did you know that was the time when you guys were ready to go? Like, did you just figure, okay, we know our champions are going to be stronger at 2 items? What was the communication like for that?
Yeah, well, I think we had 10 stacks of Roa and second item on Cassio, so we knew he was about as strong as he needs to be. And then I had Kraken, which really I only need 2 items to play the game here. So yeah, I think we kind of knew we were stronger than them at that point because they already sacked a little bit of like early, or they're only playing for early game, so they sacked a little bit of like the later game stats with the Lee Sin bot. And we were just fine with that, so we just said, okay, we'll just play for 20-25 minutes. And it ended up working out. We the Swain kept side laning for some reason when he had like 2 kills. We were like really scared of playing against Swain. We're like, we have to focus this guy if he's here, but then he was side lane. We're like, okay, that's fine. And then the fights were a lot easier. But the Renekton, man, he almost killed me like 2 times. Oh, scary guy.
Ford on Renekton looked so scary early.
Yeah.
Yeah, I want to ask my last question actually. That second game was looking very dire for most of it. It was only until like the last 5-10 minutes where you actually kind of pulled back. Was there at any point in game 2, due to Knights of Smash amazing early game, was the team mental kind of going downhill? Did you guys think that, oh, this game is probably lost, or did you all know that you would probably find a way back in?
I think we called at like 5 minutes that we just outscaled them anyways this game, because Senna just she couldn't really get stacks, so we knew she wasn't really a late game problem, and they have a Lee Sin, so that's all early game. So I mean, I was a little scared when Renekton got a solo kill top on Aatrox, but we knew we scaled. We just kept calling it, it's okay, we scale, coping a little bit, but we did know that we outscale them after like, yeah, basically just 2 items guaranteed.
Awesome. Well, last question for me as well. Is there anything that you want to say to the other Order of Knights? Maybe remind them who the older brother is, especially now that you got to prove it on the Rift.
Yeah, I mean, all they have to work on is warding, lane pressure, jungle, early game, late game, and then like moving around the map and just playing the game and just being good. That's about it. Other than that, they're good.
All right. Any final shout outs, call outs, thanks you want to give out to the viewers at home before we go ahead and wrap it all up?
Best support in the league. Yep. That's the shout out I'm giving.
All right.
All right.
Thank you very much for coming on the booth.
Yep.
Well, you heard from Roberto, the jungle of Knights of Ishtar. Absolutely amazing performance from him and the rest of the Knights. We are going to be jumping into the break before the next match, which will be held at around 9 o'clock. So don't forget to come back.